All right, we're gonna make chat. All right. All right, who the hell are you?
I am Dennis.
Dennis.
Yep.
All right, and how'd you come to be sitting in this chair? The first I heard is some guys come in was about 4 minutes ago.
I was out on my boat and a couple very friendly young ladies joining me. And,
today?
No, this was Monday.
Okay.
Could have been Sunday. They all blurred together.
Okay. What lake were you on?
Lake Ontario.
Oh, okay. Oh, the big lake. Yes.
The big lake, the ocean.
Yeah.
So this particular individual was maybe not exactly happy because I took the girls off of his boat to come join me.
Like slaves?
Yeah, like slaves. I wasn't that fortunate.
Okay, so you just roll up on some other boat in Lake Ontario and you say, "Get in, bitches." Like that pretty much what happened?
It didn't quite go like that. I knew the girls.
Okay.
Clothing may have disappeared. There may have been some naked swimming. Unfortunately, the guy on the jet ski that got jealous because I took him off the other boat.
Yeah.
Sprayed my boat, blew the phone out of my hand. So I don't have any pictures to share with everybody, but
so somebody came on a jet ski. You're on a boat, and he kind of.
Yep, came in hot, turned, and
made a giant splash.
Oh yeah, massive.
And that blew into you and the hot chicks, and then this iPhone SE fell in the boat, or it fell into Lake Ontario?
Fell into the boat.
Okay, so it's like in a big
just a big puddle of disaster.
Big puddle of disaster. Okay, and this happened a couple of days ago.
Yes.
So we're gonna put up a chat window here. Is he related to Faisal, which apparently last guy's name was not Faisal, it was Faisal. So I'm an idiot. We probably should have asked. Your name's Dennis, right?
Yes.
And it's spelled and pronounced Dennis.
Dennis.
Got
Dennis
it.
The Menace. 2 N's.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. Okay.
I immediately went to Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I don't know why.
Okay, so Faisal's still sitting here recovering, so we got to move over a little bit to work on Dennis's phone. Okay, so then what did you do? So you're in the jet ski, and the hot chicks are pissed because they're soaking wet now, and you've got a wet phone on the floor.
Yeah, they were soaking wet in all the wrong ways. So that guy really ruined everything for me.
What a downer.
You're not kidding. So, just there was some F-bombs exchanged, and I don't know, he tucked his tail between his legs, got off his little machine. I dropped the girls off, and then the other 2 girls I was with, we took off, had some drinks, and had an awesome rest of the day.
And rest of the next couple of days. Have you stopped drinking since then, or is this just a big long blur?
Unfortunately, I have had to stop drinking. I was going to take the whole week off of work, but I decided to go back yesterday. Why? I don't know, because today would have been a good day on the water.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it is super nice. It is summertime, fleeting, short little summer in Rochester. All right, so this phone got wet, and normally we do not take water damaged phones for repair, but every now and then when somebody comes in local, we'll make an exception if we think it sounds like fun. So so you went to somebody in the city and said, "Hey, my phone got wet," and what did they say? Did they say we also don't fix water damaged phones, or what?
No, he tried. He told me for me to get it fixed it was going to be 3 weeks, but I have a lot of things going on this weekend. I need that GPS by tomorrow, so
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So you took it locally. He opened it up, and what did he do? So tell us about the prior repair.
All new screen, because the force of the water against the screen broke my screen.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a powerful jet ski.
Well, what they have, it's called a reduction nozzle. So imagine trying to put your fist through something really small. It takes a lot of force.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes out of that reduction nozzle, it's coming out with a vengeance.
Okay. All right. Kind of like a short circuit if electricity is having to go through a really tiny wire, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, so wow. So jet ski cracked the screen on this. So he replaced the screen, and then what? Turn back on?
Yep, replaced the screen. It wouldn't charge after we replaced the screen, so took a shot and said, well, maybe for some reason the battery decided it didn't want to play along anymore, so I put a brand new battery in it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, still no dice. It does what it wants to. It keeps trying to send messages to people that I'm not texting. Doesn't charge. Shuts off when it wants.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna start before we even take this board out of the housing. Here's one thing we want to look at. I'm looking at this screen. Here you go, folks in chat. Don't let your screen look like this. This is a exposed backlight flex, so we are going to cover that up. We haven't seen one of those in a long time.
I have no idea what that is. I do know I feel like getting a case of Bush Light delivered and a dozen chicken wings right now. You're going to put me in the zone.
Dennis, oh man. So how long have you been an alcoholic?
You know, it's funny you should ask.
Yeah. So that's not the first time you've been asked that question.
No, God, no. My name is Dennis, and I'm an alcoholic. Been to that a ton of times. Court ordered, too.
Wow. So those girls, did they give you their number? Are you gonna see them later? Is that what's really going on with this phone? That this is the number for those girls?
Yes. No, the one girl I've known for about 10 years.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna plug this into not the battery, but a DC power supply, and we're gonna see if what happens when we prompt it to boot. So can it prompt to boot? So let's find out. All right. So I can see that I have current consumption up there on the DC power supply, and then we can see here that there is light on the backlight. It's making image, and it looks like it's probably going to boot. And it does boot if the battery's charged or booted a couple times.
Yeah, it turns on just fine, just the battery doesn't charge. I think I'm down to 1%, maybe 3%.
Gotcha. Alrighty. So that phrasing fits what we call a signature problem, which is like a physician hearing a common cold. Like, I got this swollen thing, and I've been coughing a lot, and you're like, oh, okay, that's the same virus everybody else has, or whatever it is. Yes, diagnosis.
So with those symptoms, it's
right.
Unfortunate that we have to let you know
I really hope
this.
you are a doctor. I am so sick.
We are going to diagnose you with little pecker syndrome.
It is little pecker
Thank
syndrome.
you so much. Oh my God.
Unfortunately, that's the name of what your phone has.
It is true. Yeah, look.
I'm more of a grower than a shower, so
you
there's a lot of truth
you
to
can
that.
see on iPad Rehab. Doesn't it say on our price list, little peckers?
It should.
Yeah, iPadrehab.com. And if you, I don't know how we can. Let's look.
I think it might be just my inventory.
Just in your inventory.
Maybe.
All right, let's just try real quick because it might be funny.
It won't because it's by device.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
All right,
When
so
I send an estimate for a little pecker.
yeah.
Little peckers.
Little pecker disease. That's what I think you might have here. So if we go to price list, there is somewhere in 5S. Little peckers!
Yes!
Right there.
Beautiful.
That's what I think you got, Dennis. I think you got a case of little peckers. So it says replace missing components by battery. So this is what I think is going on with this phone, because that sort of keyword of it only charges 1%. Right? So let's take a look under the microscope. I'll show you where the little peckers are, and we'll see if you can guess how it came to be this way. So let's look at your pecker
I think I
right now.
know what peckers are.
All right, so let's leave that alone, and let's get rid of this so we can look under the microscope. So now we're looking under this microscope
We're
here.
going underneath this little black guy here. Huh?
Alrighty. So here at the battery connector, this is where you plug in the battery. So you had a battery replaced, right? So here's the new battery.
Yep.
And if we look really close, you can see that there's 4 dudes. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I see the dudes.
Yeah, now these guys look different than those guys. And that's because these guys, they look like little Legos that are still sitting on the board, right?
Yeah.
And then over here, what's going on over here? They look different. So over here, that's just pads. The Legos, see, that's a brick. They're missing. They're knocked off. They're knocked off. So you're missing those little peckers. They're so hard to get back in there.
Yeah.
All right. Now, if we look up and say, what does that thing do? One of them doesn't really need to be there. The other one is a filter, which is an inline component that connects your battery data to the logic board so that the logic board can say, hey, battery, am I on fire? Hey, battery,
Am I on fire?
do I have any charge in that battery? Hey, battery, right? So it's connection of battery data for communication. So if your battery can't report to the logic board, I'm 49% charged, then the phone will just say, I didn't know what he said, so I just said 1.
Ah, gotcha.
So it's not maybe that it's not that it can't charge, it's that it doesn't know whether to charge or not because it doesn't understand what the percentage is.
I gotcha.
So it's a reporting problem. So let's see if we can get this fixed up, all right? So we are going to take out the logic board because that's the easiest way to do that. And
This is actually really fun.
oh, I know, man. I do it every day. It's very fun. And look, you can talk to people from all over the world. Let's see.
Yes, it was a Bombardier Sea-Doo, Greg.
Yeah, Greg. Wait, how did he know that? Is that like the kind that like throws up that big?
Well, there's Sea-Doo, there's Yamaha, Polaris. They discontinued. Honda discontinued.
Why? I have a Sea-Doo Speedster.
Oh, jet boat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Love that thing. That's the best boat in the world.
Sea-Doo has 80% of the market share of personal watercraft.
Well, Sea-Doo doesn't make the Speedster anymore. Do you know why? I mean, I don't know why. Do you?
Sea-Doo discontinued jet boat due to low discontinued jet boats due to low sales. They do still manufacture the power plants. The power plants are now used in Scarab jet boats that are built by the Genmark Corporation, who also produces Forwinds.
So those Scarab jet boats were pretty much going to be the same as the Speedster if my Speedster ever dies?
Yes.
My Speedster did die this summer. It's only been working like a little
You
bit.
worked on phones. I was a boat mechanic for 10 years. So
You
maybe
were?
I can do something to help you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we live on Canisius, and my Speedster got full of water, like big time full of water, just from rain because I work too much and I can't ever go down there. And then there's a guy down there, Mike, who came out, like did a house call.
Mike Wickowitz, possibly?
Mike Sea-Doo guy. That's
Mike
what
Sea-Doo
It's
guy.
in my phone. Mike Sea-Doo guy. That's all I know. But he has a great business, which was really cool. Like, so he came out there, and it was well. First, my dad tried to work on it. My dad
Didn't do so well, did he?
My dad knew enough to say, let's take the spark plugs out and look down the hole. So he did that, and he says, there's water in there.
Yeah, you don't like water.
Well, it's like, all right, that's bad. And then this is my dad's plan on how to get the water out. We're going to get a straw. And he, like got some McDonald's straws and was like, and then he said, let's see what happens if we just try to get it to turn over and, like, eject it.
Yeah.
Which it would kind of do.
That's exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, so
Just turn it over,
way
let
to
it
go,
off,
way to
turn
go,
it
Dad.
on.
I'm sorry that I thought that it was a little nonsense for you to just spew it out. But anyway, Mike came down and he was fantastic, and he ended up just doing like a couple of oil changes sequentially. Brought the little that little handheld oil change thing.
Yep, little hand pump, vacuum
Yeah.
pump.
Yeah, and so
Keep doing oil changes until all that milk is gone, and then you do a boil out procedure.
yeah.
Get it good and hot, get the rest of the water out of there, and then you're usually pretty well good to go.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what happened. And it sounds a little bit rough, like at times. He said, "How long did you try turning it over? Because you can bang up the pistons, I guess, if you're trying to compress it with water in there." But
Oh yeah.
it seemed to be okay. So I thought that it would be a really ideal job for. I've got a 14-year-old boy who's never had a job. I feel like, man, you got to be the guy who can go around and do that. I bet that's a really common problem.
It is.
All right, so we're looking under the microscope here.
So you live on Canisius Lake?
Yeah,
You ever see a 42-foot fountain running around back and forth down there?
42 foot.
It's a 42-footer. Brandon Horrocks, his father, has a house down there.
Does he play super loud music?
Probably.
then probably yes. Yeah.
That's the biggest boat on the lake.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to work with his father.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like it's kind of like a small community. There's like 2 guys that do all the docks.
Yep.
Seth and
Brandon.
the other guy.
Brandon Horrocks.
Oh, Bobby. I don't know. But
Is it Bobby? Because I know Brandon. He used to do them. He'd go around the whole lake.
yeah, they're funny. Like one of them, kind of is the guy that follows rules, and the other guy is not.
Yeah, I'm the guy that I have a tendency to make my own rules a lot of times. It never,
Me too. Oh my God. Yeah.
It doesn't work out for me ever.
What are you talking about? It works out great.
No,
you know how you get into this line of work? You know where the manual is to fix this thing? Nowhere.
Nowhere.
You go, well, if you're throwing it away, let's see what we can do. Let's order a microscope and let's see what we can figure out of all this stuff. And it has worked out fantastic. All right, so this guy here is the one that we need to put back, and I got a stash of them right here. Let's see what's going on. What happened to those 2 caps? Well, John, one of them is in fact a capacitor, and the other is a filter. All right, look how tiny this is. Stick out your finger. I'm gonna put one. I'm gonna put one here in case I run out, and then I'm gonna put one in your hand. Let's see.
I thought you were referring to his other pecker.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's funny.
All right, here we go.
Wow,
That
people
strip
all
is
the way
over.
from Germany, New Zealand, that is cool.
That is crazy. Yeah. All right. So here is our little pecker. All right, so there's the one we're going to put in your phone. Now I'm going to put one in your hand. Ready? I'm going to stick it right in there. There it is. See it?
Oh, my God.
It's tiny.
There's like 4 of them.
Yeah. That is some tiny.
I wouldn't, this is like dust. I don't even know what to do with this.
Snort it, obviously.
Snort it, obviously.
It's incredible high.
Man, you get along way too well.
All right, so we're going to...
She's like, all right, this is the end of this thing we're doing.
All right, so we do actually make, like I've made my colleague Mark, like we'll do bets, like I bet you, some bet there. No, if you lose, you got to eat 3 of them filters. He hasn't taken me up on it yet.
Did you want to keep these? I don't know.
No, I don't. No, I mean, they're you never do it. This is a souvenir. Put them in your hair. See how long it takes for them to come out.
It's glitter. It's gonna look like I was.
It is a lot like glitter. It's kind of micro soldering glitter. Exactly. All right. You remove the shield for this? Yes, I do. I have given up the art of not taking off the little shield because it's so easy if you do take off the shield to get it back on there. So I'm using hot air to kind of get it on there. I'll move this so we can see up there. So there's our spot. And we're gonna spin this around a little bit and get him to solder back on there. Now, how do you think it came to be missing?
I have no idea.
Well, I got a good guess.
What's your guess?
My guess is if you think about what would it take to actually change the battery? You got to plug the battery. You got to plug the battery in. Look at your fingernails. Now, if you go to disconnect the battery, you're going to go like this. So I'm going to guess that those things, that's not water damage. There's no sign of water down there, right? The only spot you have water is up here. See that on the back of that shield? If we took that shield off, you might have a little bit of corrosion. But honestly, this phone, as far as water goes, on the logic board, it looks really good. If it didn't, then I would say, man, you don't want to fix this. But this is, no water here. There's a spot there, so under that shield, you'll have a little bit of green. And then under here, there was never any water under there. And then up here, there's your sticker's red, but none of these connectors are corroded or anything like that. But that guy, man, he mashed, look at that, it's kind of like a little bit mashed up on the end of that connector there. That's just that's what we call dog damage.
Yeah, it seemed like he was manhandling a little bit.
Yeah, so iPhones are like cats. You know, you gotta be really gentle.
Yeah.
You know? And MacBooks are like dogs. So this is dog damage. You gotta treat these like a cat. All right, so now we're gonna clean that flex up a little bit, and then we're gonna test. I gotta figure out what happened to my last.
Jessica, I gotta fly his invoices pulled up on the computer.
Can you grab me a Q-tip or a pile of Q-tips from right back there? And then we're gonna test and see tech damage, my fave. All right. Do I see a solder ball or two coming from a coil? No. All right, perfect. Thank you, ma'am.
Here, your screws and shields are right in the top of the toolbox.
Okay.
Okay, we gotta go. Fly. Dennis, super nice to meet you.
Hey,
Best
you
of
too.
luck.
Thanks, Doc.
You're always here for any problem with your packer.
All right.
My kids are not gonna repeat that I just said that to you.
No, never.
So what's the next best boat to get? I like the Speedster because my kids are 14, 12, 8, and 8. And they are, you know, like learning. And it's like small. I like it. But, you know, I think they're gonna probably outgrow it.
Me personally, I prefer having an outdrive versus jet propulsion.
Yeah?
I think they're easier to control, easier to dock. You don't have to be underpowered in order to steer.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the event of an emergency, your tendency is to back off of your throttle, but with jet propulsion, when you back off the throttle, you lose all control.
Yeah.
So I prefer.
Well, and we got a lot of weeds. A lot of weeds down there. So
Yep, that's
there's
the other
pretty
thing.
much every other time you go out, like if you're gonna say like, hey, let's take the boat and go over to the beachcomber.
Yeah, you gotta
and
hop in. And
You gotta
clean all the scenery
hop
out.
in, and you gotta take which one of you kids wants to get thrown overboard, so you can go pull out all these weeds, so that we can actually make it across the lake.
Yep,
every
that is
single
another
time.
thing I don't necessarily love about jet propulsion.
Yeah, I don't love that part either. All right.
But I'll tell you what, it can get real expensive if you hit something with an outdrive.
And how do you know that?
Oh, I've done it.
Oh, really? You're kidding?
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah, I hit a half submerged tree once. I was doing 60 miles an hour.
Half-submerged tree.
Yeah, it wasn't totally sunk. It was floating about 2 foot below the surface.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it ripped.
Just from a storm?
Yeah, it ripped the outdrive clear off the back of my boat. Blew the drive coupler out of it. Blew the transom assembly into pieces. It was like $12,000 worth of damage.
Ouch.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't sound fun. All right, so we're just testing right now, and we're just kind of loosely reassembling to see if this thing can report its charge percentage. So now it says 51%. See that on your phone right there?
Yeah, that's fun.
51% is probably the truth then, right? Of what this battery really was.
Well, it's a brand new battery, so I'm sure it's up there a little bit.
And then it seems like it is able to kind of consume a normal charging current. This one's a little bit loose here. There's 4 or 5 things connected together, but we're looking for about 1 amp. And even when the screen goes dark, it seems to be able to do that. So we're going to say, okay, that seems to be what the problem was.
That fixes the charging. Now, what do I do about like when I'm in the middle of a phone call and it shuts itself off?
That's the same problem, because if it can't hear that I'm not on fire, so it'll kind of like go for however many minutes, and if it's like, hey battery, hey battery, hey battery, hey battery, then it will be like, guess we're gonna die, and then it'll just click off. So that is pretty likely to be the same thing going on.
So I don't have to replace anything else in that whole shooting match.
According to my crystal ball, really the problems that you're going to have with this are maybe there's water under there bothering some guys. I don't know. So that is kind of, we'll see. It's probably not worth it, or you're not going to be able to do anything about it anyway. And then parts, like things that plug in here, so is that camera okay? Probably, because I don't see any corrosion where the camera plugs in. It looks all fine. So that camera's probably fine. Is this charge port okay? Probably, but maybe not. I don't know if like water kind of went in there and kind of at that part.
Oh, I'm
right?
sure
We
that
can't really
thing
say,
had
no.
water all over.
So those kinds of things are, the who knows? There's no way to really know. There's no like tester that we can, put this on and say do a health check and have it like a computer that could like report back.
Right.
It's
Well,
kind
yeah,
of
because I was originally told I was going to be replacing a bunch of that stuff. I'm going to lose all my phone numbers and all this other crap. And I was like, well, because I couldn't get the phone to back up because it seemed like whenever it would connect to Wi-Fi, it would shut itself off for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know. It does its own. It had a mind of its own there for a little
It
bit.
had its mind of its own.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Let's see. Since with that history, maybe it's worth it while we're here to just peek. Let's go ahead and peek under this shield and we'll stick it back on. So we're gonna just peek at where there could still be water on the logic board. Ah! I deleted the wrong thing. All right, so right here, because we see that discoloration, we'll take that. It's not that big of a deal to just take that off and look and see if it looks okay, or if it looks like there's probably going to be stuff going on under there. But you never know. At least with solving the gas gauge, this battery gas gauge, a little Pecker's problem, you'll be able to have it stay on long enough to take a backup and get everything backed up. And maybe it'll be fine. We don't know. There's no way to like say clean bill of health.
Right.
All right. Well, now why didn't you go down to the Apple store?
Oh my God. If that Apple store is anything like that answering service, I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi,
Nope.
I'm Andrew. I'm an animated phone answering system. How can I help you today? Well, Andrew, let's start by talking to a fucking person. How about that?
It's funny, on my channel, one of the videos that I just did was called Independent Repair You Do You, because there's a lot of like kind of uproar lately about people kind of getting upset about things that Apple does. Like, for example, if you replace the battery with an aftermarket battery, the device is going to say, well, since that's not the Apple battery, even if that battery is perfectly fine and brand new, I'm going to say service. So it's like a check engine.
Yeah.
And guess who are the only people that can turn that off?
Apple.
Right. And so it's kind of like comes down to customer service. They're independent repair. Like, sure, come on over, see what we can do real quick. Where you talk to people, you involve them in the repair, and I think that's the way to make independent repair make sense. All right, so we're going to take a look at all of this, and people kind of understand. Like, okay, fine. Well, then I'll just ignore that. All right. So this was underneath that area where you had a little bit of green, and it looks pretty good. So I really don't see any inside corrosion on there.
I can't say I see any either.
It looks great, right?
It does.
So it sounds like the water kind of went in the phone, but it didn't really actually kind of hit the logic board over
Yeah, I
here.
just kind of got lucky.
Yeah. So I think that stuff is pretty all right. And we're going to let that cool down a little bit. Take off a sticker. Shut this off. And now I'm going to solder this stuff back on by hand to get it back on there. So we don't know, like if there's, parts issues. Sometimes they don't like if the dock gets wet, then they don't, then they don't like stuff that comes in through there, but we're going to see. So I'm going to let this sort of cool down.
You were so much more gentle than I would be with that thing. It's unbelievable.
Ha! All right. And let me check in with chat, because now we got to do reassembly, and that can tend to be pretty boring. So let's see. And Apple has no way of turning it off, so you just have to get a new one.
Can we see the photos now?
That's really funny. I vote for the health check report. That's really funny. This is hello iPad rehab. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna this will turn into a video on the channel. So I'm gonna hit stop so that it keeps it short. So bye stream. There you go. Another one from the walk-in land. Everybody say bye to Dennis.
See you later, guys.
For being a good sport.